Welcome back to the Infinity Travel AZ Studios. Today, I have Richard Bravo with AmaWaterways on a Zoom call with us today. How you doing, Richard?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you joining us. Richard is going to give us a nice presentation about AmaWaterways, tell you a little bit about it, show you some photos. So go ahead, Richard.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen
Okay.
right now, and just going to walk you through a brief presentation. This is going to be a bit of an elevator pitch presentation for me because normally I could really go into depth on so many different things, but I really just want to be able to skim on some of the highlights for you today and just give you an idea of some of the things that we're currently doing and some things that we're looking forward to. One
Okay.
thing I'd like to share here, Cindy, is this quote: "Oceans take you to countries, rivers take you through them." I just think it's really important to note that river cruising is such a unique way of traveling. I've been in the travel industry. I don't even know if I share this with you now, 27 years, and I've done a number of forms of travel. I love, a road trip. I love taking a motor coach trip. I love ocean cruising. But even as we talk about ocean cruising, river cruising is so different. We're not in international waters at any time. We are sailing through the country limits, every step of the way. In some cases, we literally, as we're docking in the heart of these different towns, you take a few steps off and you are right on those cobblestone streets that are like centuries old. Cologne, Germany is one example on the Rhine River where we dock. We are literally like an 8, maybe 10-minute leisurely walk to the being at the doorstep of the Cologne Cathedral. So it's just a very intimate, immersive way of traveling. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I like.
And one thing that I can share too is we have a very young, modern, and innovative fleet. Our owner, Rudy Schreiner, he's actually been dubbed the godfather of river cruising for a number of really great reasons. He was another river cruise company's VP product at the time when the Main Danube Canal was dredged. And that's important because he was the first one to really get them to start thinking of the fact that you can now travel from the North Sea all the way down to the Black Sea, literally through the continent of Europe. So he got them to build out their product. He was another company's first president. And then, of course, along with his beautiful wife, Christine Karst, then Jimmy Murphy, who since passed away, they started AmaWaterways. So we actually celebrated our 18-year anniversary this year. And here's a look at our fleet. You can see we've got 3 new ships coming out next year. They've actually been paid in full. It's important to note that our company is debt-free, which, again, a family-owned and operated company. I think a lot of people are rightfully so asking the question, what's the financial stability of your company? In addition to the fact that we are debt-free, we also have some amazing partnerships that we took on several years ago before COVID came onto the scene. If you're familiar with the Centaurus Group, Peugeot family, Rothschild Group, among some others. So we've got some very strong backers that we're in partnership with as well too. So we're not going anywhere.
That's awesome. We don't want you to.
No, absolutely not. So we're set. And well, I could spend, quite some time talking about all the different places that we travel to. I'll share just a little bit about our exotic destinations, and I'll begin with Egypt. Egypt is actually a product that we launched April of this year. Does not begin sailing until September of next year. I can tell you that it is our most requested product right now. Even though it doesn't start till September of next year, we're already well over 75% sold out, and that's carrying into 2022 already.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing 7-night round trip sailing from Luxor. We include 3 pre-nights at the Four Seasons in Cairo, in addition to a post-night stay at the Four Seasons in Cairo. We have a wonderful excursion, an optional excursion. Everything else is included. This one's optional, taking you to Abu Simbel. I would encourage people that are interested in this one, if you've never seen Abu Simbel, there's some great documents on it, but it's this temple that literally had the potential to be flooded over and completely lost because of a dam that they had there on the Nile River. And so what they did was they literally cut down this entire temple, move it 600 feet up the side of the hill to be able to preserve it. And this is an option to be able to see as well. The Mekong River, one of the most immersive experiences that we get feedback on from our clients. If you've never been to Southeast Asia in general, these people are some of the warmest, most hospitable people on the globe. So to be a part of that culture, learn a lot of that history, taste those amazing cuisines. We got a wonderful 7-night cruise. But really, with every one of our sailings, you have the option of pre and post night stays also. So you can really extend it out to like 16 days if you'd like to. Chobe River, a wonderful 4-night safari type cruise, and the beautiful Zambezi Queen, very intimate, all suite staterooms with balconies. And you once again can extend that all the way up to 18 days. You can add a gorilla trek to Rwanda, some additional time down in Johannesburg. But the heart, the bread and butter, if you will, of where we travel is really on the continent of Europe.
Right.
So if I were to give a tip and just say, for a first timer, look at the Rhine, look at the Danube. Those are definitely the two most popular ones for some good reason. All the others are absolutely amazing, but it's nice to kind of begin with those and kind of build up to some of the others also. Yeah. Have you ever river cruised, Cindy? I don't know if I've asked you if you had a chance to river cruise before.
I haven't yet, but I would love to, especially through wine country, because I am a wine aficionado, so to speak. I like a good glass of wine.
All right, so that is a great segue then also. So because we've got some themed departures, we've got a number of different itineraries, like 33 plus itineraries. But then what we do for certain dates is we'll add special themes on top of them. Some of them may be our Christmas markets around the holidays, which are absolutely magical. You're on sensory overload. Some of them will be with our celebration of wine sailings, where we bring along a North American wine host to lead you on some different excursions to centuries old wine cellars, to do different wine pairings and taste the old world wines and compare it to the new world wines. So we've got a number of those to choose from as well. Some new departures that we have for next year, impressions of the Seine and Paris, some great optional pre and post extensions, because every one of our sailings, you can add a pre-trip and a post-trip. And what makes them even better is that our cruise managers will join our guests before and after the cruise. So they're there to kind of hold your hand, point you in the right direction, lead you on some wonderful excursions. So that's always an advantage with AmaWaterways. With St. Malo or Paris would be some optional extensions here. Disregard which is Paris, France down below there. We know that's not Paris, France. That was my typo. This is St. Malo here. Provence in France. This is our colors of Provence. And well, we have our colors of Provence, but this is Essence of Burgundy and Provence. This travels from Chalon-sur-Saône all the way down to Arles. So traveling on the Saône and the Rhone River. Some amazing stops along the way. Pre and post options in Geneva as well as Barcelona on either end of that. We have a new ship, the Ama Lucia, which is going to be sailing the Rhine and Moselle. And one thing that I've learned from a number of our cruise managers and having different conversations with them, these are the experts on board any sailing. They're the VIP host on board any sailing. Most of them, as I could say, almost hands down, say the Moselle River is one of those gems, if they were forced to pick one of their favorite ones. So this is a beautiful one to keep in mind as well. Champagne, France is going to be another highlight that we'll include with pre and post options. 2 nights in Reims at the Reims La Caserne, Champs-Élysées Hotel and Spa, Autograph Collection also, plus an additional night in Paris also. So again, we've got these wonderful pre and post options. This is going to be a new one for us next year. And then we also have Best of Holland in Belgium. For anybody that's ever river cruised, you know that there has been a year or two where there can be some low water challenges, and we're not immune to that. Although I will add, Rudy Schreiner, who's actually an architect by trade and one of our owners, he's actually designed all of our ships so we have an incredibly low draft. And while we're not immune to having to pull over and maybe bus some of our clients into the original intended port of call, more often than not, we can make it into that final port of call, and we're passing up some of our competitors because they have deeper drafts. So that's something else to keep in mind. But this one, the reason I mentioned that is because in 2018, when we had to kind of come up with some other options because of low waters, what we normally offer is our tulip time in March and April. We started offering throughout other parts of the year. People absolutely loved it. So now we're going to be doing that for next year. We've got a single sailing beginning in April, going through September, a single sailing each month. So that's something else to look forward to. But a highlight that you could include with that one, in addition to 8 other itineraries, is the Floriade. This comes around once every 10 years. So it'll be offered in 2022. So if you're into horticulture and just flowers and want to see some beautiful windmills, of course, this part of the world, this is something that you want to look into. If you're doing a pre-trip with us, we'll include a stop here at the Floriade anywhere between 4 up to 4.5 hours. If you don't do a pre or post trip, on the last day of your trip, once you get back to Amsterdam, you'll have an option to stop here, giving you somewhere between 3 to 3.5 hours too. So this is really a big highlight, something to look forward to.
Nice.
And then also new for next year is our first stop into Italy. So we're going to be making a stop at Lake Como as a post-night stay. So this is not on the river, it's a post-night stay, in addition to Rhine castles and Swiss Alps. So The Rhine castles and Swiss Alps is pretty typical of our captivating Rhine, enchanting Rhine. If you happen to be familiar with those, there's one or two ports of call that are going to be not included on this one. And on the way down to Lake Como, we're going to have a full day stop at in Lucerne too. So we'll be able to take in a visit to Lucerne there on our way down to Lake Como. And I talked about secrets of Egypt and the Nile, but just want to include a beautiful picture here because this, of course, is something to learn a bit more about and plan ahead. You know, I mentioned we've already got people booking well into 22, and our hope is that we're going to be able to open up our 23 departures hopefully by the end of this year. So we'll see, but that would open up not just for Egypt, but hopefully for all of our product line. And you know, in terms of our points of distinction, I would share and I think fairly acknowledge our peers in the industry. You know, there are some wonderful peers that we have doing river cruising as well. You know, we're not the only one on the rivers out there, but here's what I love to share is that AmaWaterways has won more awards than any other river cruise line out there. So there are some things that really do set us apart. So I'd love to highlight just a few of those. I did touch upon our cruise managers. You know, they're the VIP guests. You know, I think I talked about how they join you before and after the cruise, which is really important, but we get so much wonderful feedback on them. In fact, one of the things that I hear personally quite often is, you know, I went on a trip last year. We absolutely loved it. We want to take a group next year, but we don't want to go unless we have Maddie as our cruise manager. I use Maddie as an example because this is here in the picture to the left. But seriously, we take those requests. We can send them to the person who basically puts these schedules together. He does his very best to match up those requests, but they build such a strong relationship. It's just something I wanted to call out. Right. The food on board is second to none. Really, it is, Cindy. We won so many awards for this. We look to bring regional cuisines on board, right? So it's not just a set menu, you know, throughout the entire cruise. We've got our main dining restaurant, and then we have our chef's table restaurant. So the main dining is what I would say, think of that as your progressive dining experience. So when you're in Budapest, you'll find goulash on the menu as an example, but you'll still have that steak to go to if you prefer that, or that Caesar salad. But we also have the chef's table restaurant. This is more intimate alternative dining experience, but it's included. You just need to make reservations once you get on board. An amazing 6-course meal. Within each of those courses, though, you get a choice. We have up to 4 different wine pairings, some reds and whites, regional to some of the areas that we're traveling through on that itinerary. But you get to witness the chef and his team preparing the food, you know, plating the food, bringing it out. It's my favorite experience on board. So I definitely encourage anybody sailing with AmaWaterways to make the reservations for that.
Definitely.
Shore tours is something that definitely sets us apart also. You know, we've got from, you know, what we call our gentle to our regular and our active. So our gentle would be, as an example, if I were taking my parents. You know, my parents are elderly and they still want to get out and do things, but maybe move a little bit slower, maybe avoiding some steps, but still really capture some meaningful highlights.
Right.
That's what the gentle would offer. Regular is going to pick up the pace just a little bit more, include just a few more things along the way. Whereas active is going to be like we see here, maybe a guided cycling tour, maybe it's a guided hiking tour through the Black Forest. So we have those options. And in addition to that, we also have the what we call our late risers. So I'm the earlier riser. I'm going to get up, have my coffee, and say, let's go. And my wife is going to be the, you know, let's enjoy breakfast. Let's enjoy our coffee a little bit and get a little bit more of a mid-morning start. So we offer that as an option as well. The last part that I'll mention on this one is that the bicycles, while we use them for the guided cycling tours, you can use them for your own leisure. If you just want to go out with whoever you're traveling with for a few hours, you just reserve them. We even have in some cases where people will bike from one port of call to the next port of call in the same day when we're hitting 2 ports in the same day. So lots you can do. We got a gym on board. We got dedicated fitness instructors on board all of our ships as well. I didn't want to get through this without talking about AmaMagnet, though. AmaMagnet is one of our newest ships, was built last year and delivered in May of 2019. This is the largest river cruise ship on the waters today. So a number of things I'd highlight here, but one thing I want to say is, you know, if you've done ocean cruising and you've thought of doing river cruising, this is a ship that you want to look at. It's much larger. In fact, the average stateroom is about 355 square feet.
Wow, that's good.
That's a very good size, right? And then on top of that, because again, I've done ocean cruise. I know you're used to the larger accommodations, more amenities on board. And that's what this offers here. We also have a an owner suite that goes up to 470 square feet, and a grand suite that's actually 710
Wow.
square feet. We've got 4 restaurants on board the Ama Magna, a much larger gym, a pool, there's a jacuzzi, there's even an elevator that goes all the way from the bottom floor up to the sun deck, which is unique for river cruising because most of them will go up to the level just before the sun deck, and then you have to take the stairs to the top deck, sit in the room on board. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous vessel. And then just to kind of finish things off here, I know there's a lot that we're packing this with, but, Cindy and I were talking before, one of our jobs in our industry is to make sure that you're aware of all the information that you can be made aware of, what, especially right now with everything that the world is going through, what you can't do, what you cannot do, what the limitations and restrictions are. So AmaWaterways, along with every other river cruise line, every other, travel partner in the industry, when COVID came on the scene, we started putting plans together to really ensure that we were going to be able to protect the experience that our guests were accustomed to, to experience with AmaWaterways. How are we going to protect our crew? How are we going to protect our guests? And we are actually the only American river cruise line that had a ship sailing between July 5th, her last sailings ending just last week, where we were able to put those things into practice, not just kind of sitting on the sidelines and, having a look at what everybody else was doing, but we've been able to do it ourselves. The response was amazing. What I need to mention and not forget, because it's important, this was exclusive for the German-speaking audience because it was chartered by a German company. But this is one of those highlights where that it's also our responsibility to share. Here's a cruise line that's been doing it. They've been doing a great job. Thank God, no illnesses reported on board. A number of people loved it so much they booked a second or even a third sailing. The other part that I would share is that we don't even think we'd have to talk about this, but every one of our staterooms, every one of our public rooms is built with their own separate air and heating coiling system. So what that means is air in, air out of those rooms. It's not air that's being circulated throughout the entire ship. Really important to note with our shore excursions, I didn't mention this either, we've outfit our guests with something called an audio box. It's a piece that they can charge in their rooms and then put their own earphones on, so they're not earphones somebody else has been using. Then when they go out on their tours, they can be 40, 50 feet away, not huddled around the tour guide, safely distanced, hearing everything that's being shared, maybe while they're still taking some photos of an area that they passed. Round the clock cleaning, hospital grade disinfectants. You can see in this picture, the plexiglass that's placed up in the lounge area too, right? So we've got that kind of throughout the ship. And that is my elevator pitch to you or anybody that's listening today. So I think that hopefully that at least scratched enough areas on the surface to give you a really good taste of what that's about.
That was a great presentation. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure everybody else that happens to see this will. I have not yet cruised on a river, but I think I told you that a good friend of mine, another travel advisor, and I are looking to do a group on AmaWaterways in 2022 on one of your wine-themed cruises. So she's kind of taking the helm on getting a hold of Ama, and she's already contacted Liz. So we're getting that ball rolling.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that. So there'll be news coming out about that soon, hopefully.
Lovely.
And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
One thing I would add, Cindy, also, and you're certainly full aware of this, but for your audience out there as well, too, by Cindy's partnerships and just affiliations, she's got some wonderful offers and she has access to some great promotions throughout the entire year on a number of different sailings. So please check with her. AmaWaterways looks to work with professionals like Cindy directly because they know what they're doing. There's no middleman, included. We just want you to go straight to Cindy, and she knows our product so well. So I just want to make sure your audience knows that as well also.
Oh, well, thank you. I think they will now. So Richard is going to be back with us in December on December 8th. And we are going to be talking about the Christmas markets cruising. Right. Something I have always wanted to do. My husband does not like being cold, and he thinks he doesn't want to go on a Christmas market. So I'll just have to go without it. I'll go with my friend.
There you
go. I'm going to go. I just think that would be so magical to see.
Absolutely.
I can't wait. So
yeah.
Anyway, I would really love to thank you for joining me today doing this. I'm looking forward to our December Christmas market cruise. We're going to be doing it again in January, talking about wine themed cruises then. And hopefully we will have an announcement to make about Denise and my group cruise at that point. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed on that. And I appreciate you joining me. I will talk to you in about a month.
Great. Thank you so much, Cindy, for the time. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
All
Have a
right.
wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.